she's clean, she's beautiful, and ready to go. So now it's time to get some substrate in there and some hardscape and just kind of toy around and see what we can do with it. I'm gonna probably go a bit hardscape heavy and not too many plants. Gonna toy with that for a little bit. Always can put in more plants later, so let's get this going. So definitely not the sexiest, but I've got a bit of old pool filter sand over here. I'm actually gonna have to go through it pretty well because, as you can see, there's quite a bit of sort of microplastics in there, but I'll filter through it, get it washed, and then end up using this as some of the substrate for the tank, as well as some of the remaining aqua soil that I got. So I'm going to pour some of this in first, and then come back to it with some of the pool sand, the filter sand, and then cap it over the top with that. Let's move this back a little bit. Going to pour the remaining amount in there and spread that out evenly. I'll probably push most of it towards the background, keep the foreground nice and shallow so that it's just more aesthetically pleasing, and also so that I can plant some stems in at the back if I do want. So keep it nice and shallow in the front, and keep the substrate nice and deep at the back. Get those stems in so they're able to root well. Push this aqua soil sort of right up to the back. Don't need any of it right in the foreground because the pool filter sand will be in the foreground, and I won't have any plants right up against the front glass anyway, so it makes sense to have it a little bit deeper in the back. Oh, it always sounds so intense having this little sort of soil spatula hitting the glass. Right, let's get some of that pool filter sand in here. Just going to kind of start with sort of capping in the front layer just so that the aqua soil doesn't slide into its position, and then slowly build it up over the top of the aqua soil. Yeah, let me go grab another jug of the sand, cap it over nicely, get it nice and thick. That way you can just avoid getting that aqua soil coming to the surface and kind of spoiling the look of the scape. So now I've got some pieces of hardscape, a bunch of different rock that I've just collected over the years, and thought I'd try it out. And now here's for the fun part. It's kind of just messing about until something sort of captures your eye and you like it. Let's see what we can do. Got some really big pieces here, so don't know where I'm going to be starting. Might just give it a try, mess about, and see if anything looks good. Let's pat this down a little bit, just even it out again. I've also got some lovely stems that I found from a fallen down tree on a river. So, gonna put in the rock first, see how that looks, and then put a couple branches in. Start with the big guy. Let's go big in the front. And kind of stagger our way back. I'm not sure if I'm going to be applying the rules of thirds here, but create a couple nice angles. I also want to make sure that I've left space to be able to get those plant stems in. Otherwise it's just a kind of a waste. Typically you kind of want to keep your numbers odd, but sometimes when you position rocks in a certain way, you can get away with kind of having an even number in the tank, especially if you're going to be adding like different hardscape and a lot of plants at a later stage. Where am I going to put you? See how that looks. Yeah, that looks pretty good actually. Trying to think if I must try and create some more height, but with the stems in the back, it should look pretty good. I did have another piece of hardscape, but it's pretty massive. I feel like it's just gonna steal from the rest of the tank. So let's pop in some pieces of wood and see what we can do. Maybe we can create a pretty good looking finished product. Got some of these lovely driftwood stems. Alrighty guys, so this is basically what I've managed to come up with. It was getting a little bit tight working in front of the camera and putting these stems in, and just a little bit tricky to maneuver, especially since I didn't have any super glue with me. I've actually got to order some, so we'll continue this build once I've got the super glue, and I will just do a nice order of plants as well. Hey, what's up guys? So as you can see, back on a different day, different clothes. So I had to wait a few days to get my super glue so that I could tack that onto the hardscape and get the tank all sort of settled in. As you can see, the tank's filled up behind me. Hardscape is in, water has been put in. So far so good, nothing's floating, and hoping to keep it that way. And then off to my right, your guys' left, got a whole bunch of plants, so the plant orders come through. Also have my fish waiting. So what we got here is we've got some Hygrophila polysperma. We've got 3 pots of that. Also got some Ludwigia granulosa and some Ludwigia Rubin. So I went a little Ludwigia heavy because I've always had good luck with them. They always tend to grow. I think my water's quite hard, so they seem to take. And I like working with what works with me. Otherwise you're kind of fighting a battle, an endless battle, trying to get the plants to grow, and they're just not willing to do so. I did also get some root tabs, so I'm going to pop a couple of those in this tank, and hopefully that will just spice things up a bit and get them to grow a little quicker. I got some Rotala Walichi as well, excuse me, but it's in those in vitro pots, so they're tiny. So I might just save that for a different tank. And then we've got 4 German blue rams going into this tank. Obviously once they start establishing territories and stuff, I might move 2 out and put them in a different tank, seeing just kind of sussing it out and seeing how it's going to turn out, but pretty excited about getting this tank planted. And I've got a few other species of plants in my main tank, So I'm going to grab a few from there and then we're going to get planting and hopefully turn this into a nice green tank ready for those fish to go in. Alright guys, I'm back with the plants. Got the larger stems out of my big tank that came with the order. So I've got some Altanthera Runicki with some beautiful reds, beautiful color pop there. Got that through Stoffels, which is actually a really cool company. I'm really enjoying them. And then I've got some Limnophilia Sessiflora, which is a relatively easy plant, apparently. It's going to be my first time using it. And then some Bulbitis, which might come in handy here since I've got quite a few glue spots that show up quite easily. Thinking about putting the Bulbitis right in the corner over here and disguising that whole section. So it's going to be a bit of messing around, get the stems in the back. It's going to be a little bit difficult actually, because there's quite a bit of tight space that I'm going to have to try and work with. If you have a look here, I'm going to have to try and get in through the top there in between those branches, which is not too easy without bumping them, and most of my substrate's right at the back. Alright, I definitely knew this wasn't going to be easy, but I didn't know it was going to be this difficult either. I'm going to try and wedge my hand in through the back here and kind of sneak these into some of the soil. It's going to be pretty tough though. Try and wiggle that out without losing the actual plant, or pulling the plant out, should I say. Okay, one in. It's going to be tough because the spaces are so tight to get into. Split this guy again. Let's try and get this down into here. Push it in nice and deep. And then once again, just kind of wiggle the tongs softly and gently. Squish them a little. Try and get that sand to bite onto the root. So when you're releasing it, it holds. There we go. Nice. It's coming together. All right, a nice big bunch. I'd really like to get into that right-hand corner, but it's just so tight. I've made it impossible for myself. I'm going to try and squeeze through this little gap here. Push it right into the back. Come on, in you go. Wiggle, wiggle. Right into here. Just like that. So you don't want this one in touching or entering into the substrate with its roots. It's an epiphyte, so it's going to draw most of its nutrients through the water column, and it's a really pretty plant. It kind of looks like an underwater fern. So I'm really hoping that it does well, and I think that looks pretty good where that is located right now, and hopefully it grows over time. Time to get some color pop in here. Let's get the Altanthera Runicki in here. I wonder if I'll be able to put a stem in the back here. Please stay. There we go, one in that corner. Then I think I want to put the rest into this open gap here. A little bit of red on the one side, and then beautiful green centerpiece, followed by some red on the left as well. I always end up making such a ginormous mess when I'm doing these setups. It's well worth it though. such a pretty plant, this. It's got roots absolutely everywhere. Alright, now that I've got all of those guys in there, I'm going to open up some of the other potted ones, the smaller stems, and squish them into a couple corners just to fill out the space. And then I'm actually not going to do too much more. Because I've just got a small bunch of substrate in the back there, covered by the gravel. So not too much area to plant. Bought the easy plants because I want them to fill in over time and watch this kind of evolve and fill into a nice little island in the back there of greenery, as well as a little pop of red. So I've actually got a little Ludwigia glandulosa over here that I'm going to pop next to the Ludwigia rubens, just for some tighter growth. There we go. There's a perfect spot for it. And the last but not least, I think I'm going to put this little Ludwigia rubens. I don't know if it'll focus. Tiny little plant, barely got any roots, so hoping it will work out pretty well. Unfortunately, it's going to be hidden to the camera for the moment, but I've got all the faith in the world that this little guy will hopefully grow pretty well. Just going to wedge it in between this gap right here. So as soon as it gets a bit of power and a growth spurt, it will quickly make itself visible. Now it's time to just let it settle, get cleaned up, and get the occupants in. So it's been just over a month and the tank is looking absolutely spectacular. Everything is greened up completely. The plants have taken over and I'm just super excited with all the plant growth that we've had. The Limnophilia has really proved to be a beautiful and easy plant. And I must say, so is the Bulbitis. I haven't done too well in the past with epiphytes, but this one seems to be growing in quite nicely. And of course the Ludwigias are filling in very well. All in all, this has been a great tank to set up, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed watching the setup or the build of the tank. And if you did like it, please remember to like and subscribe so that I can put out more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the next one.